So what's happening with Venmo? As you know, Venmo is a third-party payment service founded in 2010 and bought out by PayPal in 2013. One of the first apps where people could just use their iPhone and pay dollars electronically from one phone to another for free. In 2021, there have been a lot of changes coming to Venmo, and so we're going to cover a quick timeline of what has happened this year and what is coming up and why it's important. For a quick overview, we'll start with April 5th, 2021. Venmo requests full identification from its users due by May 6th. April 20th, Venmo introduces crypto. May 6th, if you did not comply, they extended the deadline to June 10th. June 10th, if you did not comply to full identification, Venmo alters the use of a Venmo balance. And in a few months, January 1st, 2022, Venmo starts its tax reporting requirements. All right, so let's cover each of those in detail. So April 5th, they start requiring further identification. They basically want to make it as if you're signing up for a bank account. So you had to provide some sort of solid identification linking your personal identity to your Venmo account and therefore your Venmo balance activity. April 20th. Venmo announces crypto, kind of. Basically, the crypto that's in your Venmo account at first are not real crypto coins, meaning you cannot deposit external crypto into your Venmo wallet, and you cannot withdraw any Venmo crypto into an external wallet, into any crypto exchange. So you're not actually getting the actual crypto coins, you're getting basically a bet on the price, almost like paper trading something. You get a bet on the price of those markets. So you can basically profit in US dollars if your bets go up in value. You are not getting any crypto that is actually compatible with any blockchain. Oh, and also you have to provide full identification if you want to use this feature. Since I did not opt in to this identification compliance, on May 6th I got an email saying, hey, we've extended the deadline to June 10th. So you have a little bit more time to basically add all the info that we need to comply with federal regulations. June 10th came along and I still did not comply. I still did not provide further identification, and the app looked pretty much the same. At first I wasn't sure if I was just going to be blocked and not able to use Venmo at all, so I made sure I didn't have any funds sitting in there or anything, but it did let me continue to use the app. One thing I noticed is that whenever I received money from people, I could not send that Venmo balance back out to anyone else. So that meant that money is just sitting there. I have to withdraw it to my bank account every single time. In the same way, if I want to send any money to friends, it comes directly from my bank account and shows up in their Venmo balance. I can't send from my own Venmo balance directly to their Venmo account. So you kind of have to think about it for a second, but basically this closed a loophole that existed for about 10 years, where essentially you could open up a Venmo account, not provide any identification, and be able to send within the Venmo ecosystem. You can send electronic dollars back and forth between friends at no cost. Now, people were already incentivized to link a bank account to Venmo, because before Venmo was spendable out in the real world, you would just have this digits of Venmo balance, and what are you going to do with that? So you would say, oh, I should probably withdraw this to a bank account. So typically people would link a bank account. But there was this small subset of people that were able to use Venmo, transact with people back and forth, and never actually withdraw and use the banking system. And so people could basically have a separate side channel that was skipping out on banking. And of course, the IRS, federal regulators, they don't want that to happen. They need you to use the banking system. So basically this represents them closing one more door to be able to transact peer-to-peer without the government's involvement. This also incentivized people to provide their full identity to pave the way for the next step, which is coming up in January 1st, 2022. Venmo now has to start following these new tax reporting requirements that are basically one of the stipulations of the new stimulus bill. So it's kind of a minor section of it, kind of embedded in the fine print, but basically with the American Rescue Plan, according to Running with Miles, if all of your transactions within a given year total over $600, that will trigger a taxable event, and they will send out a 1099 for you to basically file that taxable income, even though it was sent over Venmo. Now, apparently they're saying that this taxable event still won't apply to minor transactions that are family and friends only, but it's going to be interesting to see how the interpretation of that goes, if they're actually going to just keep letting people transact with their friends without any tax reporting requirements. And even if they do that, the fact that they have access to all that means they have everyone's identity, they have a backdoor with Venmo to be able to tax everything. So even if they don't tax everything, that window is still always available. In conclusion, Venmo is getting ruined by federal regulations. Big surprise. So if you kind of break down the timeline of what's going on, basically you're telling people, hey, if you want to keep using Venmo, you've got to comply with these ID requirements, get everyone to give up their identification, and what's the harm in that, right? And then you also draw in more people with crypto, or at least a fake version of crypto. You close any loopholes for anyone using the platform that's not complying to these requirements. And you're basically laying the groundwork for further taxation. So now that they're not going to tell you this ahead of time, but now that they've collected everyone's data, they know who you are, they're knowing who you're transacting with. Now that they have all that dirt on you, now they can start enforcing these tax requirements and start nitpicking through your transactions and deciding what to tax you on. And to me, that is an erosion of our privacy. That's an erosion of our freedoms to be able to transact freely with each other through a third-party service. And step by step, they're closing our doors to financial and monetary freedom. And that is not okay. We need to reclaim our freedom to transact with each other without needless taxation and invasion of privacy. This same pattern is happening not just with Venmo, but with almost every financial outlet. So even with crypto exchanges, they're trying to get your information so that even if you go off grid with your money, it's like putting a tracking device on you. So yeah, you can get off the grid, but we just saw how much we saw how much Bitcoin you withdrew from Coinbase. So once it's out there, we know we can associate your name and your identity with the crypto assets that you purchased. So if you're not a fan of this, what can you do about it? The first thing you can do is resist giving up your identity. It does make things a little bit harder in the short run, but crypto is creating new currencies that value privacy, value the community as well as the individual, and the right to transact freely and openly without invasion of privacy or needless taxation. Another thing that you can do is start learning about Bitcoin, start learning about Monero and other privacy currencies, and start learning how various stores of value can protect your privacy, protect your money and your wealth for the years to come. This is what's happening with Venmo, and we'll see how it plays out in January.